Next up is probably to be the most controversial name in this entire group here, because he's been deemed a lot of things. He's been deemed a great corner prospect. He's been deemed potentially the first starting Caucasian corner in the NFL since Jason Sehorn, which I believe is legit because that was a meme going around for a while that Jason Sehorn was the last one. He's also been deemed a guy that has to go in a safety position. There's a lot of people that are very mixed on him, but they all do agree on one thing. He's going to be a good talent in this league. It's just a matter of where he goes. And that is Cooper DeJean from Iowa. Now, I usually don't post a kick return for a corner as their video, but I saw that and I wanted to show some ability off there. I think if you guys saw that, you saw a guy who was fast, had a little bit of twitch when need be, able to move around a little bit there, things that you kind of need for corner. But again, there's that talk, so we're going to find out. 6'1", 207 pounds, 21 years old. In 13 games, 75 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 5 interceptions, 3 of which were touchdowns, guys. Woo! 8 passes deflected. This past year, 10 games, 41 tackles, 2 interceptions, 5 passes deflected, and a 77.4 PFF. Now, played 23 in the slot and 630 at the corner, outside corner position there. So this is a guy that if he plays corner is going to play on the outside. Pros and cons wise, he's athletic, instinctive, tracks the ball well, great in run defense. Now that sounds like a very good pro to have as a corner because not a lot of guys have that ability. That's one of the biggest things I keep hearing about why he needs to be a safety is the scary thing. Is that they're saying his best trait as a guy in the secondary is his ability to move up and help the run. And when you have that, you don't want to use that. You use it more at safety than you do at corner. That's one of the issues. It's not his speed as much as that. It's not his his movement. It's not anything as far as that. They think that because he's so good at the run, you want to utilize that position more. As far as his cons. Hard sticking to twitchy receivers. When he gets those guys that have that extreme elite athleticism at that point, he does have a little bit of trouble staying with them there. He also is a little overly aggressive when going downhill at times. So, listen, I have a hard time figuring out where to put him myself, to be very frank with you. And I think that he's a guy that you're probably going to move back and forth.
Yeah.
Versatile. I think depending on the play is where you're going to put him. You could put him, especially when you go to goal line, third and short and those kind of positions. You can put him in a guy that you put on a tight end, hypothetically, like a safety that you have him run up and help against the run at that point if there's a handoff. And he will not be out of place whatsoever. But you can also have him be a guy who sits there, like we talked about earlier, being that, zone or man kind of corner, but one that has some help behind him in case he gets that overly athletic guy with the twitchiness, the long burst at that point, the stuff he would not be able to deal with. Because there's a lot of guys in the league who can't deal with that stuff, guys. This is not an issue with just a couple of players in the draft right now. This is not a new issue. The NFL has figured out ways of working around these issues over the years. Like I said, that's what I think personally for him. I think he's going to be a guy you'll see probably flip-flop between both positions, especially his rookie year, as they try to figure out which spot is better for him. And potentially he tries to just figure out where he can make it as a starter in general. Because I do think that where he's drafted will determine where his career trajectory goes. I think he will excel at either spot, though, personally. I think he just, if you put him at corner, you just got to deal with the limitations at that point there. But either spot, I think he'll be pretty good to go. I think late first, early second, he'll probably go in personally, too. And weirdly enough, he might be the first safety off the board. He's a corner. Depending on how they draft him, I'm kind of curious when they come up to the podium and say Cooper DeJean, do they say safety or do they say corner? That's going to be interesting because if you look even on some mock draft boards, they have him at corner. But you go like PFN, they have him as a safety.
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.